Welcome to my new set. Now, let's continue on where we left off. Oh jeez, it's really hot here. I really wish I could live with the Alaskan Apatosaurus. They lived in cold temperatures and didn't wuss out and migrate during the winter. We know this because of study into their bones. Bones have growth rings just like trees. By looking at these growth rings, researchers saw that Apatosaurus switch between periods of fast and slow growth. They grow fast when food is abundant and slow down when food is scarce. This pattern can also be seen in the bones of modern animals. Besides, they compared it with Apatosaurus living further south in Alberta, Canada. And they didn't show such patterns. Researchers also looked into the geology of the bone beds where these fossils were found, and discovered that these dinosaurs were buried in flood deposits. Floods happen when the spring arrives and the ice melts. If they had migrated, they wouldn't be there to drown in the floods. Speaking of the cold, large creatures can retain heat in their bodies better than small creatures. Having feathers on a large creature would more likely cause it to overheat. So, lo and behold, a large 9-meter Tyrannosauroid shows up covered in feathers, named Tyrannosaurus huali from Liaoning, China. These feathers are more like downy fuzz of baby birds. The cold climate is probably the reason Tyrannosaurus had feathers. Many of the dinosaurs found in the area also sported feathers, it's just that they were so small. Until now. The best part is that we have 3 relatively complete skeletons of Tyrannosaurus. It includes 1 adult and 2 subadults. What if the armor on a Titanosaur wasn't for protection? What if it was actually a survival kit? You think I'm crazy? Well, get this. A large osteoderm on Apatosaurus was found to be hollow and was in the process of being reabsorbed into the skin. The theory is that these large hollow bones on its skin actually stored minerals and could be used during a drought to help it survive. We know Apatosaurus lived in late Cretaceous Madagascar and it was prone to droughts. Yeah, from now on I'm probably gonna avoid doing long discovery lists and maybe do monthly updates. For now, here's a quick mishmash of some of the more exciting discoveries of 2012. Unescoceratops and Gryphoceratops are 2 leptoceratopsids recently named in Canada. These 2 animals filled in the evolutionary gaps between small hornless dinosaurs to large horned ceratopsians. Sciuromimus alberstofry from late Jurassic Germany is a juvenile megalosauroid. A megalosauroid with feathers. The existence of feathers shows that theropods outside of the coelosaur lineage also had feathers. Eoabellosaurus malphi from Middle Jurassic Argentina is the earliest abellosaurid ever discovered. And as you can see, the skeleton is very complete. You know, one of the things I often ask myself is, what would this show be like if it was made during the turn of the century? 2012? And no, this is not an April Fool's joke. At least, I don't think it is. This was published in the magazine Laboratory News. No, it's not even an official scientific paper. He thinks dinosaurs were too heavy to support their weight on land, therefore they spent most of their time living in the water. You know, the same theory from the 1920s? The one that we've disregarded for over 30 years? But worst of all, this new theory has made its way into the mainstream news like the Daily Fail and the BBC. They even went so far as to call Brian J. Ford a modern Galileo. No, they were not aquatic, and Brian J. Ford's evidence can be summed up as, because he said so. And he's not even a paleontologist, and this is definitely not some kind of breakthrough revolutionary theory. And as always, the media reporting on this news has been awful. I mean, what next? Dinosaurs farted themselves to death? Oh, come on! Oh hey, Orion Prelude, now known as Orion Dino Beatdown, has just been released on Steam, and I can't review it because my computer is broken. Yeah, it's really broken. It's very broken beyond repair. Today, yeah, I think I'll cover this dinosaur. From early Cretaceous China comes Calmaeosaurus petrolicious, known from bits of the skull and its jaws. Right now, it's placed within the family of Carcharodontosauridae. Based on what we have of this theropod, it's actually pretty big, about 10 to 12 meters. Now, there's a reason I picked this guy. Recently, Calmaeosaurus giganteus has been making rounds on the internet. It's said to be 22 meters or 72 feet long. These numbers came from some book written back in 1993. Paleontologists agree that that number is absolutely wrong. It's probably a sauropod mistaken for a Calmaeosaurus. Okay, it's time to answer some questions from the viewers, but before we start, there's a few things I need to address. First of all, I am absolutely not an expert in other prehistoric creatures. I mentioned this in my museum tour, plus this show is called Dinosaur News Center for a reason. Second of all, I don't do versus questions like who would win a fight against who, because there's already Dinosaur George online answering those questions, and it's really not my field. Otherwise, all questions are welcomed. What are your thoughts on Quetzalcoatlus and Hatzegopteryx being the same animal? Okay, I'm not an expert in pterosaurs, but at least I know the answer to this one. No, there is absolutely no controversy involving Quetzalcoatlus and Hatzegopteryx being the same animal. Why is Basilosaurus called saurus when it's not a dinosaur? Saurus is Greek for lizard, but there's no rule stating that you have to be a dinosaur to end with sauros. You don't even have to be a reptile to be named Sauros. As with the case of Basilosaurus, my guess is that they originally thought it was a reptile of some sort, and not a prehistoric whale. Timothy Leong asks, did Spinosaurus use its teeth or claws to fight and hunt? The teeth and claws of all animals are built for hunting and fighting, and we definitely have evidence of Spinosaurus catching fish with its teeth. As for its claws, we actually don't have the claws of Spinosaurus. It's possible that it may have had a hooked claw, similar to its relatives the Baryonychids, but whether it has a hooked claw or not, chances are it's not made for picking its nose. Jay Miller asks, what happened to Brontosaurus? I know they changed it to Apatosaurus, but why did they change it? The reason is very simple. Brontosaurus was just an Apatosaurus with the wrong skull attached, and the rules for naming animal is the first name takes priority, and since Apatosaurus was named first, the name Brontosaurus just had to go. Rex2287 asks, did Tyrannosaurus hunt in packs? Unfortunately, no. There is absolutely no evidence of Tyrannosaurus hunting in packs. I'm very well aware of the discovery of several gorgosaurs being buried together. What applies to one species doesn't mean it'll apply to the other. Gorgosaurus is still Gorgosaurus, not Tyrannosaurus. Besides, just because they died together doesn't mean they lived together. I mean, the skeletons could have been washed together by the floods, or it could have been a predator trap. I am open to the possibility of Tyrannosaurus being pack hunters, but right now we want to stick to the facts, and there is absolutely no evidence of them being pack hunters. Ian Nipper asks, is it possible to figure out what sounds dinosaurs made? I don't know, I seriously doubt we'll ever know what they sound like. I mean, I'd love to be wrong, I just don't see how it's possible. And that about wraps it up for this edition of the Dinosaur News Center. If you have any questions you want me to answer on this show, please use the email below or the one at the end of the credits. Also, if you can't get enough dino goodness in your diet, we have an official site. Just recently I added an interview with Peter Larson, the head of the Black Hills Institute. And of course there's always Twitter and Facebook to keep up with what's going on. So until next time, this is the Illiterate Scholar signing off.